Bang, we have started. This is the solo cast, the solo cast, no producer. I've set up a camera myself. I've set up the audio myself. I'm very proud of myself right now. I did it all by myself. I don't need nobody. It is very nice to have someone. I feel like I've been spoiled lately. Having people produce the podcast is an interesting dynamic that I didn't foresee coming. Actually, no, I did foresee coming, and I've been battling with it for years. What am I talking about? I think I just have this insane sense of myself that I'll be able to navigate anything that happens at any time, which is a great thing to have. It's one of the things I love about myself. But yeah, it's been interesting. I guess we'll start there. Having people produce the podcast, having this new studio, it is an interesting dynamic. It is a different pressure to try and bring other people's thoughts and opinions into this thing that I birthed in a spare bedroom in Grand Prairie 6 years ago. It's been interesting to try and work with other people and allow them to see your baby and to share their opinions and talk about things. Oh, maybe it's too long, or yeah, it's been a lot to take in. And then on top of that, which is things that I've navigated before, I've had producers over the years that have come in at different times and helped in different ways. But to find someone that is that I'm able to do this thing where I just sit down and speak my thoughts and be honest, and to, especially when there's a guest, to go to the places and ask the questions I want to ask, and to try and pull vulnerability out of others with someone else in the room, was a nifty little thing to navigate. We had plenty of different people. We've had, the great Gary Z, Roberto, Drew Sicko's been in the mix. I've had lots of people in a very short period of time come through and take that seat, and it has pulled some interesting things out of myself to understand how I operate with those people. And all of the help is so appreciated. It is so nice to not have to struggle on your own, but there's also a struggle of how to now let go and allow people into that very cherished space that you've created, and still do the thing that you've built up these skills of doing without that. And that's why it was so nice to have Trish here for that Sterling podcast, because when Trish is here, we're such close friends. We've had so many conversations. I'm so unafraid to be vulnerable or emotional or to pull that out of others when she is here, that it really added a lot to it. I really appreciated it. So I guess we'll start the podcast off with that. Shout out to Trish, not only for the amazing work she's done with this podcast and just reigniting so much of my excitement about the podcast in general by the effort she's put in, not just with what I just talked about of having someone there that you can trust and be open in front of, but then all the extra work on top of that to learn the editing and to get these cameras that work so much better. We don't have to have it all piped through a computer to make it work, and add in all these different layers of complexity and things that can fuck up. And I don't know if you guys will understand this, but podcasting is an interesting thing to do. I think if you're just doing like a scripted podcast about something, it's different, where you can kind of rerun it. You can have takes in that. When you're just coming on and trying to speak your heart, yeah, it's a very weird thing to be comfortable with, and it takes reps and repetition, and you don't really know what you require to do it, because you don't really have a roadmap for what it's supposed to be. What it's supposed to be, the roadmap is just, am I happy with it? Am I having fun? Am I in a good mood? Oh man, I should have cleared my throat way more times before this podcast started. All right, bad podcaster, one sec, quick off the mic. All right, I think that should help. Maybe I should have just drank water instead of doing a Jim Carrey, but it felt right. Because that's the thing. The roadmap is just doing what entertains me. That entertained me. I'm in a very good mood today, guys. For a lot of factors, just every day is different. Life has been up and down. I've been really struggling with some things, but also life has been amazing. I know every time I do a solo podcast, that's exactly what comes out of my mouth, and then I try to navigate around articulating both those sides of the coin, where my life has, on the one half, never been better. I'm doing the things I always dreamed of. If you could rewind a couple years and show me what I'm doing, I think there'd be some real pride in what I am doing. And I feel that in the moments when I can look back and appreciate everything with the moon and the shows and comedy and podcasting. But then there's also some really tough stuff that I don't know what I have zero plan for today. No idea what I'm going to talk about. We're going to see what comes out of my head. But if we get into some of the darker aspects, I hope that I can speak to them with the love and kindness that I'm feeling in my heart right now, and navigate some of the things that are harder to talk about in a way that I'm proud of and I'm happy with, and I'm still in a good mood after, and I feel good about. And I feel like doing a podcast in the way that I do it bears your soul in a way. It's like therapy, and I can feel myself when I haven't been doing it. I know I should, and I know that the only way to get reps and to knock that rust off and be that podcaster that I know I can be and I have been before, where I am just totally uninhibited by ego and bullshit and being in my own head about it, being just on camera for one thing. Like I kind of forgot it was there just now, which I think is a good sign. Can be difficult to do when you're not happy about your life. And it's tough when you don't even know if you are happy with your life. A lot of the times I am overjoyed and so proud, and just I'm sitting there in awe of some of the things we get to do, some of the opportunities you get to do, where you get to go on stage, you get to make so many people laugh, you get to sit down with really cool people and have conversations, you get to have those moments where people reach out to you and your words had an effect on them, and that is what I always dreamed of having, and that is amazing. But then you have other aspects of your life where certain people are not happy with it. I mean, I guess we can go into it. Yeah. Certain people in my life aren't very happy with me right now. And those are the people that you want to be happy with, the people that you really want love and respect, and people you want to admire the moves that you're making in this world are not exactly in that space, and they're not exactly wrong. They have a lot of validation, or there's a lot of validity to their words. There's a lot of logic to them. But to me, they are not exactly fully contextualized, maybe is a good way of saying it. They don't understand what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I'm pursuing, what it is that I'm chasing. And with that, their criticisms are fully correct. But I do believe in myself and that what I'm doing is important and really special. And I get to see those moments because I live in my brain, and I get to see the life that I'm living every day. And from the outside, I can get where it looks like I'm not doing anything. That has been the criticism that I've gotten, that I am not working, I am not putting in the right type of effort. Mainly, I'm not making money. That is a big one. And I'm making, comedy just don't pay like it needs to. And I do still feel very confident that with this podcast, especially that this podcast can make money, that there is a benefit to sponsors to want to come on and allow me to sell their products. If it's something that I care about and I can be something that people want to listen to and that they get something out of that affects them in a way. And it's not just, it cuts out of the podcast and we pipe in a little ad for Domino's Pizza. It's whatever, the way I would do advertising if I had someone that wanted to advertise with me is from the heart, genuine, like I've done this podcast for the last 6 goddamn years for hundreds of episodes. And I think that would really connect with people, and it would be a way to cut through. I hate ads. I've always hated ads since I was a child. I was programmed to hate ads. My family was a big PVR family. We would not watch things live. We would record it, and then we would all get into the bed together and we would watch Survivor. And as soon as that commercial come on, the entire family would start yelling, FF, 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 which was fast forward. But that's what we did every time. And it was almost like a running family joke of whoever was running the remote. It was their responsibility to make us listen to as little ads as possible. So from the second, we wouldn't give them a second of breathing room. As soon as the first commercial started, we would be screaming at whoever had the remote, FF, right? And then as you're furiously trying to mash the fast forward button to skip 30 seconds or whatever it was on the old Bell remote back in the day on the PVR when you got to it. If you ever went over and started to you FF too far, if you FF too hard, we're going to get on you if you don't FF fast or hard enough. But if you 2FF, if you over FF, oh man, will we give it to you? You know, it'd be FF. Okay, I'm on it. And then it'd go a little bit over into the show and we go, what are you doing? Come on, back it up. Come on, what are we doing? It's very fun. So I've been programmed to hate ads since Jump Street. That is not something that I appreciate in my things. But I think the way I would do it, I think would be very beautiful. Oh, I can hear Drew Sicko through the vents. I like it. We also have an event going on. We are doing an amazing show here tonight called Synergy. It's Sterling Scott's production. There is not boudoir. It's the other B word that is sexy. Burlesque. I don't know why. I've gotten those two words kind of swip-swapped in my head lately, and I cannot remember the word burlesque. But there's burlesque. There's a Juno award-winning singer. There's all kinds of stuff. There's stand-up comedy. As always, we're a stand-up comedy venue. Not always, but most shows have it. And it's Sterling Goddamn Scott, one of the legends of the comedy scene. Check out his episode on YouTube on the podcast apps if you just want to listen, but it is on YouTube thanks to fucking Trish. This will tie it all back. So you might hear things coming through. They're going to be sound checking stuff. We'll see how the studio does with people in the room. I don't think it'll come through too much. I don't really hear it in my headphones. I just kind of hear it through the vents. So, but we'll find out. We're learning together. We're growing. It's beautiful. That actually brings it nice and full circles. I know that a lot of the pressures that have been on me lately, and it's very reasonably so, about the lack of money making. And I think from other people, around me, my support system, it's not just the money. It's, hey, we want you to have a family and we want you to do things that an adult, rational human would perceive or would want. And when they perceive it as, oh, you are not doing these things, they look at my life of like, oh, you are missing out. And I totally get that, and that is totally reasonable. But to me, it's like, I'm not missing out. I am living life fuller than most people ever get to live it. I get to do the coolest thing. I get to live my dreams, and I'm loving every second of it. But it is hard, and it's hard to have. One of the hardest parts personally for me is to have those people that are so meaningful to me, that are the most important people in my life, believe in me and support me in that way, and to not feel that concern. It is hard. You feel like you're letting them down when you can feel them worrying about you. And it's just that message of like, don't worry, I've got this. But they've been hearing that for years and years and years. And it's totally rational and reasonable for them to go, we've been hearing that for years. What the fuck? Where's the money? Where's that cheddar? Where is it? And it's coming. It's coming, baby. But that's the thing. Like, comedy do not pay well. It can pay well. I'm working towards it paying well. I'm learning the skills and know how to do really well with stand-up, and I'm so proud of that. And that is one of those hard things for anybody to understand, because comedy is so weird and looks like just anybody could do it. And when it's done well, it looks easy. And everyone, just like, well, it's hard for anybody that isn't a comic to understand comedy and progression and what you're doing and how impressive that is, because it's such a hard thing to do, but it looks so easy. And you can't really tell people of like, oh yeah, like I'm this good at it. Like I'm a okay comic, whatever, but I am better than 99% of the comics probably on the planet if you really took the whole. But it's a top heavy sport. It's like the NHL, right? It's like, oh, but hockey, you can tell people understand hockey. It's like, oh, that's a good hockey player, right? Just because you didn't make the show, if you're playing like high level hockey. Also, it's structured in that way. Right? Like I just did a show with Jessimae Peluso, one of the best comics on the planet, this Saturday that me and Dave, shout out fucking Dave, put together only on our backs, put everything together, made it happen on a very short timeline. And I'll probably talk about that in this podcast at some point too. It was super cool that we got to do that. That is something really cool, but people don't appreciate it, right? And that's tough to have the people you want the support from and you want to impress and you want, I guess, validation from, even though validation comes from within, and I've learned that lesson a million times, and looking outside for validation is always a fool's errand, and will end up with you. It will end up in the toilet. That's just the way it goes. But it's hard not to, right? You want that validation. And I think that's tough sometimes. And I know that if I keep this path and I don't let outside influences get in my head and change who I am, I can be really successful. I can make some great money. And on the comedy side, that's an interesting thing to navigate. There's so many barriers to making money in comedy. Most of them come from within and holding yourself back. But there's also this conniving, fucked, ugly, terrible industry around comedy, especially comedy in Canada, that will, to make money without like bending the knee and becoming a fucking hack piece of shit. That's way too aggressive. Sorry, my bad. That's unkind. This is a kindness, loving space. It encourages you to lose touch with what you truly find funny and do what people want you to do in order to get the money, because the money is so hard to come by, and inflation and fucking just the world being run by pedophiles and how they want to keep everyone under their thumb is you need the money. The pressure grows every day for people to need the money. It's a changing world, right? Like pay in comedy has not changed for fucking years and years and years. And everything has gotten more expensive, and it is borderline impossible to make money doing comedy, full stop. So like that's why I wanted to back myself off of feeling that anger come through and calling people hacks and shit, because that's ugly. Because to make money at all in comedy, however you do it, whether it's, you know, changing yourself to be what they want to get them money, like how could you ever give someone shit for that? It's the most difficult thing to navigate. However you do it is honorable and impressive to me. But I don't want to do that. I want to make money the way I want to make money, and that is by being genuine and myself. And I feel like this podcast was the start of that, was the seed of it before I ever stepped foot on a stage. Before, you know, shout out to Brendan Blackrear for giving me that shove. I'm going to call it a shove because it wasn't a push. It was a shove onto that stage. And I appreciate that so deeply. It has given me so much. But way before that, what I want to do in comedy, the blueprint for that, like the core blueprint of how I want to do comedy, and not just do comedy on the stage, but navigate comedy, is I want to do it in line with my ideals and my priorities. And that is what I started with this podcast so many fucking years ago. 6 years ago. That is insane. I don't think it's hit me till just this moment how long I've been doing this. 6 fucking years of podcasting, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, hundreds of guests, so many solos, so many bearing my souls. You guys, if you wanted to, could go back and listen to so many crazy times in my life. Navigating, running a multi-million dollar business with employees that you care about and an industry that you care about, to start then trying to manage a podcast on top of that, being in a long-term relationship, living together, going through that breakup. There's an episode that me and my ex recorded that we never put out. It was just for us in the basement, like in the throes of our breakup, where we just like, whoa, I forgot I did that. I should look for that. I wonder if it's around somewhere. Holy shit. Put that on a picture. I would never, just a joke. But I've gone through some crazy shit that, like, less so lately, and this is part that kind of kills me, is that less so lately. But for a while there, I was really bearing my soul to you guys on whatever I was going through, and I loved it, and it was amazing, and I need to get back into it. I think comedy just beats you down so much and puts you into this headspace where it's so hard to open up and talk about what you're going through, because comedy will just assassinate your mental health in a way that it's really hard to come on and just be open and loving and caring. It's sometimes you don't feel that, and it's tough. But to be in a space just on a day like today where I feel in that space, I feel happy to be here. I feel good, and I want to talk about this shit, good, bad, ugly. Yeah, it's nice. I love this. I feel very good. I don't know if it's coming through. I have the tiniest little screen over there. I can't really see myself. I don't know do I look happy? Yeah. Getting back to the money thing and the pressures that I've been feeling around this podcast, I think is a huge piece of that, because I know that if done right, with the right effort applied strategically, to not let everything else fall and just put everything into this to keep balancing show running and comedy and podcasting all together, this could be a huge piece and could make me money and could be very successful. And a big piece of that is obviously sponsors. It's the main way to make money with a podcast, right? Selling some tickies. Come see our shows. Oh my goodness. We have so many good ones coming up. June 26th, GINORMOUS Asylum. June 28th, 300th Sunday show. Mainly those two, but come to every show. They're awesome. Maybe some Moon Mondays coming back at the Strip. Very exciting things. Yeah, moving tickets is great, but sponsorship is the biggest way to make money in podcasting. And like I said, I think doing it genuinely, I think there's a real way where if someone took a shot at it, right? What is a company that I use the most? I've been stopping at Chipotle. I've been eating some Chipotle. I've been a Chipotle girly. I've been all about that Chipotle lately, mainly because I've loved Chipotle, but it was only in the States for so long. And then we got it in Edmonton, but it was in areas of Edmonton I would never go. But now the Moon moved locations, and now there's a fucking Chipotle down the street. Not down the street, but essentially down the street. And boy, do I like stopping there. So just say Chipotle. This would be a much better example if I picked some way more local business. But I can prove the point with either. If they just said, you know what? We believe in you. We think you can sell some fucking Chipotle. Here's $50. $50 a month, right? Like in 2026, what's that going to buy you? You know, like a third of a grocery bill for like a week? Like, but to me, that $50, if they believed it and they wanted to do it, I would go so hard. Do you know how much I would sell fucking Chipotle for that $50, whatever it was? And would speak about Chipotle with the fire and fury of how much I love it, and would fucking put some asses in the seats at Chipotle and get them. If you had a little Von Dubcast code where you get $1 off your burrito, holy fuck, it'd be Burrito Central. And I believe that in my heart. But what you need to do that's one half of the equation. But if you want the other side, is you kind of need some production value. You like to try and sell sponsors on an audio only podcast is a way different thing than if you can have clips. If you have a beautiful new camera that is blinking at me over there, I hope it's still working. I have no fucking clue. But then that's one half. You got to get the camera. But then I'm a big dum-dum when it comes to technology. Technology is not my strong suit. How am I going to edit it and make it look nice? And that's where I just have to praise Lord baby Jesus that I have someone like Trish that can take those things on. And the work she did with the Sterling episode, that's the only one that's out of what her work, but she went back even though we didn't have the camera settings and like everything. It's going to be kind of a step back from Sterling's because we recorded it earlier. But the ability to edit it up and make it look nice and see what she had done, and I didn't know all the effort she was putting in. She just took it upon herself to believe in me in that way that I've been talking about, what I've looked for and not got from certain other people. Like it's amazing because that is that stepping stone that reignites that passion. Like, oh, it looks so good, it feels professional, it is a step forward. It makes it so much more exciting to come sit here and just talk at a camera, or to go out there and hound guests to get them on and do that. If it's going to look great and it's going to lead to those opportunities where you can get those sponsorships and you can bring those people on, I think it's a huge step, and I'm very happy about that. And there's one of the reasons I'm in such a good mood and I'm having fun sitting here just talking to you guys, even though I have no idea what we going to talk about, where we going to go with it. It's just good times, having fun, being a little silly. How was the last time I was silly on the podcast? I feel like it's been a while. I feel like that's been the missing link. Got to be silly, you know. You got to be silly on stage too, but that's a much easier thing. You're supposed to be silly on stage. On a podcast, when you're just being silly to yourself, you can get a little self-conscious. You can feel a little silly about being silly. But you got to fight past that. You got to battle. You got to not give a fuck. You got to fucking show some leg. Look at that. Oh, look at that fucking calf. Oh, stair stepper. Oh, I've been hitting the stair stepper, baby. Oh, look at that. Get that calf out for the stair stepper talk. I found the stair stepper recently. You know, it's been at the gym. I've been seeing it. I've been seeing all these, like, you know, 90-pound girls just stepping their steps. Seeing these old Indian gentlemen stepping their steps, and I always go, oh, it's not for me. But then I thought, what if it was for me? And just one day I got a wild hair up my ass and said, changed up my gym routine. And at the end, instead of doing cardio on the treadmill or elliptical or whatever, I took my first steps on a stair stepper. And that's a nasty piece of machinery, the stair stepper. That shit gets it gets into your soul. It grabs hold of you and goes, you don't want to do this. And you have to talk to your soul and you have to go, hey, no, we do want to do this. We do want to fucking step some steps. And I've been really enjoying it. I like it, I think, because you can like set goals. Well, you can set goals with anything, but there's something about my autism that just like it really digs having not only the amount of steps you do, but also the amount of flights you do. And you can kind of like set like little different things like, okay, 1,000 steps, that's kind of tough. Okay, I can do 1,000 steps faster. Okay, let's do 1,200. Okay, let's do 1,500 steps. I think today cracked. I think we did 2,000 steps on the stair stepper today. It was a good day on the stepper. I think personal record, PR on the old stair steppy, along with all the other fucking weights and bullshit. I'm the fucking dumbest meathead at the gym. Like, obviously not like just in the workouts I choose to do. Like, I'm not fucking yelling and screaming and being crazy like what you might think when I say meathead, but like I go in, I stretch. It's like I'm doing curls, like skull crackers for triceps, shoulders, and then just like run that reps of that like a bunch of times. Do some chest flies, do some back shit, just like the fun shit. Used to do legs, but now the stair stepper is my legs. But like maybe a little abs, but I'm not doing anything fancy. I ain't fucking hitting specific muscle groups. Ain't got time for that. I'm at the gym. I'm going to hit every muscle group that I want to hit and just only those, which I like. I've been enjoying it because it gets me in there, right? I know I probably could be more productive if I actually got a plan and put some thought into it, but that's for the birds. Right? That's what a personal trainer's for. Someone wants to come to the gym with me and fucking put me through a workout. That's when I do my best work, when someone's there to fucking put you through hell, because I don't like to not be able to do things. If someone puts pressure on me, if it's a game, oh, look out! I will go to my death. But when it's just me there, I'm gonna do 12 sets of biceps. That's what I'm gonna do, and just a fuck ton of stair stepper, and then get in a sauna. Sauna's an interesting place, you guys. I've learned some things in that sauna. There's some weird people in a sauna, let me tell you. There's one guy at the gym I'm trying to come around on because I don't think I should carry this kind of hatred, but fuck do I hate this guy. I call him Weird Sauna Guy. People in my life, you've probably heard me talk about Weird Sauna Guy before. He just does the oddest things in the sauna. He does odd shit in the gym all over, but it's just the sauna where it gets weird. Like, people do weird shit in the gym. I'm pretty lenient with it. There's a lot of weirdos at my gym. They do odd stuff. They're doing dance moves. They're throwing kicks. Yeah, whatever. Throw your kicks. When we get in the sauna, that's a place of tranquility and chill. Do you really need to be doing the weirdest stretching that, like, if you were doing this stretching out in the gym, it would be weird on its own, but now you're in, like, a quiet room full of sweaty men, and you're just like, just fucking, like, legs down. Wait, we have a camera now. I can fucking show you guys this shit. There's some shit, like, he will put, like, his back on, like, the bench of the goddamn thing and just be like, and like he's wearing slides and his feet are coming out of the slides. The slides are like around his calves as he's doing it, and he's making weird noises, and he's just like trying to like yoga flow and all his bullshit. Oh, I want to fucking murder this guy. Weird Sauna Guy can suck my taint. No, he can lick down my taint and then suck my asshole. He can give me a lick and suck down the taint on my asshole. Fuck that guy. As I said, I'm trying not to hate this dude, and I shouldn't be carrying that hate in my heart. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel in my heart. People know it. I've called my girlfriend after fucking some weird sauna sessions with Weird Sauna Guy and just gave him a piece of my mind. I remember one time I hadn't told her about him before. And we're just sitting on the phone. I sit outside of the gym. Sometimes it takes me a while to fucking force myself to go in there. And I'm talking on the phone. I think we were FaceTiming. Yeah, we were FaceTiming. I was just like talking to her, totally normal. Like, oh my fucking God, it's Sauna Guy. And she goes, who's Sauna Guy? And I flip the camera and I'm just like following this guy into the gym. And I just started. That was, I think, the first time I told her about him. Yeah. Weird old Sauna Guy. Don't know how I got there. Don't know how we got here. But we're here now. I want to talk about last night. It is currently Wednesday, June 17th. We are getting ready for an amazing show here at the Moon tonight. I can hear them working out there. It's going to be awesome. But last night we did a show that we haven't done in a while, and it's one of my favorite shows in the world. It's called The Comedy Workshop. And what it is, if you've listened to this podcast a while, you've probably heard me wax poetically about how much I love the workshop, and you probably have your own feelings about it, because I know tons of comics do. That's quite an interesting dynamic of it, because like so many comics fucking viscerally hate that exists, and it makes them uncomfortable, and they come anyway, which is quite funny to me because they see that it is productive and it's useful. And like people that like, if you ask them, they think it's the stupidest thing in the world and they almost like pretend they're there ironically and they think it's stupid and I'm just there to laugh at it. And it's like, if that were true, there's other shows you could be at. You probably wouldn't be there. But like what it is we come in, we started a long time ago and we just create a space where everyone's going to get some time to go up and work on whatever they want to work on, right? It's usually mostly comics there, if not all comics there. So it's encouraged to do some new shit that we haven't all heard. Just because it's difficult, you're going to go up there and probably get very low response if you're just doing jokes we've heard 6,000 times. And it's, if you're doing jokes we've heard forever, it's just not going to get the same response. But like, if you can stretch your legs and try something new, then there's a room full of comics that can give you, most importantly, tags. So that's so nice. If like someone can, if you have a bunch of funny people in a room just to punch up a joke and they can throw a, hey, have you ever thought about saying this? That is like the best part of it. That is what, people come for. And so many comics get so unscrewed. Don't tell me anything about my comedy. Just give me tags. Just give me tags. I just want tags. I don't want any of your feedback other than tags. It's fucking hilarious to me. But whatever, if it gets you in the door. And I do see that is the most productive thing and the easiest thing. It's not even the most productive thing. That's the easiest thing. That's comics not wanting to hear anything but that because they don't want to hear other people talk about their comedy, which is totally normal. And I understand that. Comics are precious beings, especially about our comedy. We don't really want to hear what other people think or ways we could improve. That is not really something that jives with the mind of a comic. But everybody gets some time. Sometimes it's 10 comics, 12 comics, and you can give everyone a lot more time. And then once they've done it, feedback from the room. But it's not just tags. That is like the nicest part and the easiest part and usually what people are hoping to get. But you can also hear some really genuine things about how they're coming across on stage in terms of vibes, just visuals, aesthetics sometimes, about like faces you're making and energies that you're giving. And sometimes you think you're giving like a happy, fun energy, but it's kind of like menacing. Sometimes you think you're being like cute, but it's kind of creepy. Like oftentimes it's hard for us comics to understand exactly what the energy we are putting off. And that's why filming your sets and watching it back, but you still need a genuine awareness about yourself and about others to understand that, be able to diagnose that. So it's nice to have enough people in the room, but all those things, comics do not want to hear the shit. So you have to create an atmosphere where people are willing to say it, because normally in comedy, no comic wants to help any other one. They want to watch them bomb. They want them to suffer, because then they can get those spots. If they don't get any better, if they get worse, if they regress, I look better. I get more spots. It is completely backwards. Comedy is 1,000% incentivized not to help each other. And for one night a week, when we were doing it regularly on Tuesdays, we would try and check all that shit at the door and try to really push people to actually help and to be genuine and say those things that like maybe this comic has needed to hear for months, if not years, but nobody wants to say it to them. They just want to let them flounder. And then on top of that, to say that in a way where it's not cutting and it's not mean and it can actually sink in. And if you do that and you go through that work, which is very much putting yourself out there, and it is a very vulnerable thing to do. So most comics really recoil at even the thought of doing it. But if one person does it, then it opens the door for another comic. They go, hey, actually, no, I also thought that. Have you ever also like you kind of do this? And it can create this space where people slowly but surely will be genuine and be caring about the feedback that they are giving and try to help a comic get better at comedy. And it is the most beautiful goddamn thing. I love it so goddamn much. And so many people talk shit about it and think it's stupid and is all those things. But the value, like last night, it's like, oh, there's value there. Right? Last night, people did not want to do the thing. Shouldn't say that. A lot of people want to do the thing. A bunch of people in the room, which is every week, every time we've ever done the show, there's always some people in the room that are uncomfortable by the whole thing. They don't really want to do it. It's way more comfortable. They'd rather just talk through people's sets, not actually walk, just try and say funny things, be cutting, be mean, and just enjoy it for themselves and not actually buy into the idea of it, which is also what makes the show special, because it's never just 100%, the genuine thing. Comics are comics. They're going to say some mean shit. Sometimes the mean shit is so goddamn funny. oftentimes it's so goddamn funny that like that is a part of it too, but trying to keep your thumb on the scale, because naturally people are going to be mean and just try to be mean for the sake of funny. If you can push and make a constant effort, and that is usually done by myself or Trish. Sometimes there's audience members in the room that do that. Sometimes there's comics that are in that space and want to do that. But if you can kind of fight at the natural instincts of comics to balance it out, where you get a nice mixture where there is some nice and genuine, obviously going to be some mean and some shitty, but like the less of that you can have, because that is our normal instinct. We don't need more mean and shitty. Mean and shitty is comedy. That is every open mic ever. That is the shit talk outside of shows. That is everything we do to each other 24/7, even though we pretend, oh, we're a awesome Edmonton community, we all love each other. Fucking coulda fooled me. Coulda fooled me. But on those on those workshop nights, we get to experience some really cool shit, and people get some really awesome things out of it every time we've done it. No matter how mean and nasty it's got, no matter how shitty comics will be to each other, because there's an interesting dynamic. Because if comics like a comic that goes up, they will listen to their set, they won't talk through it, and they will give some feedback at the end. If they don't like that comic, they will let them flounder. They will not laugh at anything they say. They will not give them feedback. They will stay silent. They want them to feel bad. And it's shitty and ugly and very natural and like normal, I guess. Maybe it shouldn't be normal, but that is pretty standard for what comedy is. And you can tell it, and it's like such a shitty, unkind thing to do. And that's where me and Trish usually have to, no matter what, in those moments, like if everyone wants to like just completely pull back any sense of engagement and let a comic flounder, that's when we step in, and we're going to have something to say, and we're going to have feedback, because we're not scared to fucking, shouldn't even say that. Sometimes we are scared. It's tough to be that person in a room when everyone is putting the vibe out of like, and that wasn't last time. I'm talking about, shows in the past where like it's really nasty and nobody wants to do the thing. It's hard to be that person that just says, okay, you guys all don't want to do this? Well, I have some feedback, and this is genuinely what I think, and I think this will help you. And then usually someone else will take up that flame, and it'll pass around, and you can really get it started in a room. But it does really much. It does very strongly rely on myself and Trish to be that force in that room to make the workshop what it can be. And we love doing it. And that was the thing. We hadn't done it. We hadn't done a workshop since the old venue, maybe? Maybe we did one when we first moved here. I don't know. But we hadn't done it in a long time, and it was so enjoyable to get back to that space and to feel that, and it was only, and sometimes it's only in moments. There was also times where it was super shitty. It was super unkind to watch like a comic that has waited and given feedback through all these other comic sets and stuff, and then it gets to them, and the entire room just walks right to the back of the room, completely puts up double birds to whatever comics on stage, goes, I don't give a fuck about you. I'm going to talk and laugh through your entire set and completely ignore you and give you no feedback, even though you did it for me. And this just happens. You can't control it. This is who comics are, right? Like, it's going to happen. I tried many times to just be like, hey, guys, can you sit up front? Can you actually participate? It really makes the show hard to do when we don't do that. But we're comics. Nobody's fucking, I'm not your fucking dad. I can't control you. If you choose to want to do something else in that moment, that is your prerogative. Oh, am I at one tick of battery on the old fucking Zoom? I just changed the batteries. Do I even have the backup batteries? Can I have backup batteries over there? Well, what the hell? Did I put in bad batteries? Motherfucker. Well, we'll figure it out as we go. Got some bad batteries over here. I just got to make sure that I keep an eye on it, because if we lose this fucking audio, if it dies, that will piss me off. So I got to keep an eye on it. At some point, I'll probably pause this. I think leave the video running. Quickly run over, swap my old batteries into it, which seem to have more charge on it than these do, and we will finish this bitch out with those batteries. It's all about the batteries. It's about your own emotional battery. You have to stay so filled that you can pass charge on to others. What else? Did a crazy show this weekend. That was pretty fucking cool. Yeah, let's tell the story of that. I'm going to just keep, momentarily, you're going to notice me, I'm going to keep fucking dropping my eye down to that Zoom recorder to see if that last chunk turns red, because then I will know I will have very short time to go switch out those batteries, and hopefully they have enough juice in them to get me to the end of this goddamn thing. This is the flip side of producing for yourself. You got battery issues. I still don't know if the cameras are on. I hope it is. I did a show this weekend that I'm very proud of and was very cool. To tell the story of it, got to rewind, I guess, a couple years probably. It was maybe 6 months, maybe less into doing comedy. At this time, I had maybe started running Sherlock's. I don't think I'd started running the Asylum. I don't know if I'd even been to the moon yet at this point in my comedy career. No, I had. I for sure had. So maybe it was a bit later. Yeah, maybe it was a bit later in. I'm not sure. Anyways, it was a while ago. So at this time, I was going to the comic strip quite often. Every weekend, I would say, at least for one show, if not going there and watching, the Thursday show, both shows Friday, both shows Saturday. On the weekends, as a new comic, you're not really getting booked. It's not like you're really busy elsewhere, and I was so obsessed with comedy. I wanted to go and learn from these headliners. And you get to learn a lot from going to watch headliners. And not just the headliners, but you watch the hosts, you watch the middle, you watch the dynamic of the audience. You get to watch little tips and tricks that people use. You can take things away from it. I did this all the time. And I would go watch. Some headliners were great. Some headliners were poo. That is comedy in a nutshell. And then some of those headliners you just saw a bad night of, and they're actually talented as all fuck. Sometimes you'd see a great night where it all kind of works out, and if you had seen them again, you'd think they were dog shit. That is comedy. You have to see someone so many times before you can really see what they have to offer. Except in a few cases. And there's kind of two poles to this. In some cases, all it takes is once. You can see a comic, you see what they do on stage, and you go, okay, got it. I see what you do. That's not for me. I don't need to see this again. And on those chances, like, sometimes you can just be wrong. It can just be a bad night. Maybe their girlfriend just broke up with them. Maybe their pet just died. You don't know. But there is sometimes where a comic can be so bad that you only need one taste to know, oh, this is not a flavor I like in my mouth. And then on the flip side of it is there's times where you can see a comic on stage and all it takes is one show and you go, oh, you are operating on a different level. And that happened to me a couple years ago. I went to the comic strip to see a comic named Jessimae Peluso, who I was a fan of for years and years before this, just through podcasts and just being a nerd about stand-up. She was so funny to me. I thought she was super talented, but I hadn't seen a ton of her actual stand-up. I'd probably seen some online, but I never sat and gone to see her live. And even though you see someone can be funny on a podcast, you don't know how it translates because stand-up is a weird skill that even if you are funny, your ability to navigate all the things that the comedy can throw at you and still be funny is another piece of it, and you don't know how much of that they have. And I went early on the weekend, and I was blown away. Thought she was so talented, so funny, just really knocked my socks off, and I was very impressed. And I'd been a fan of hers for a long time. I was fucking nervous, I remember. And she's a stoner, and I went out and I went to the weed store to get some weed, and I just thought, oh, I'll just get a nice thing. I'll get... I remember they were like the triple packs. It was like the tiger's blood, peach rings, and something else. Oh, they were delicious. The stoners will know. And that was kind of the hotness at that time. And I was like, oh, I'll get some nice weed. These are super tasty joints. It'll just be a little gift. So, go back to the show the next night, say, hey, heard you're a stoner, just got you this gift. She was, very appreciative, kind, just, I don't know, some weird new comic that fucking is being a weirdo, probably, I imagine. I don't know. I'd have to ask her. And then the next night, went back again and watched the shows, and even more so on the next night, I was like, oh, she's even better than I thought. Like, just getting to see show after show and watching how she's adjusting her material and her vibes on the stage to whatever that crowd needed on that night was so spectacular to me. And at the time, I was so new, I probably didn't even appreciate. There was probably a million things I was missing that I wasn't even cognizant of because I hadn't learned those lessons yet to even appreciate what she was doing on the stage. And then I go back the next night, and I can't remember if it was early show or late show. I think it was the late show. She had this amazing set I want to talk about. But before that, yeah, I think early show, awesome. Just happy to be there. And at this point, I had never done a guest spot on the strip. I had been around for it. I felt like I was kind of ready. I just never wanted to ask. I never really asked for stuff at the strip. I waited around and, wanted them to tell me when they wanted me to do it. And when they thought I was ready, that was something that I thought I needed to earn, and would just show up there, watch other people do guest spots. Always kind of wanted to do one, but didn't want to be that guy to go out and ask Dino for a guest spot. Dino still was kind of, he's not my homie Big D like he is now, the Dean man. Not scared of that fucker for shit. Fuck you, Dino. Just kidding, don't hurt me. No. So I hadn't done a guest spot, and it was coming up to late show. There's only guest spots on late shows because you don't want to extend the first show because you have to turn it over and bring more people in. So usually guest spots are only on the late shows, and they don't always do guest spots. But on this night, they were talking about doing the guest spot, and Dino pulls a Dino move, and he's saying, I can't remember what it was. It's always some sort of guess this random thing about this random employee. Like, what is this employee's deformity? What sport did this employee play in junior high? It's always these weird games he plays to see who gets the guest spot. And I think I'd maybe participated in before, and that was kind of my thing of like, oh, maybe he will let me do a guest spot because I had been in the game for it with a couple other comics, but I'd never won it before. And this happened. He goes, okay, guess this, guess which employee working tonight has 9 toes instead of 10, right? And there's, 4 or 5 of us comics around there about to give our guesses and see if we can be lucky enough to get this guest spot. And Jessimae walks over and she goes, what you doing? And he goes, oh, we're picking the guest spot. And she goes, well, I'm the headliner. Like, shouldn't I get to pick who does the guest spot? And I can't remember what Dino said. I can't imagine he loved that response, knowing Dino. I can't imagine he loved that. But for whatever reason, he said, okay, well, who do you want? And she points at me and she goes, I want him to do it. He's been nice, but he gave me weed, right? And she even said, like, I don't know if he got me weed because he was trying to weasel us in if there was all to get this guest spot on the night, which it was not. I promise. That was not my intention. I did not even know I would be allowed by Dino to do a guest spot. But she said, no, I want him to do it. And he goes, you sure? You want this fucking guy? Typical Dino, You sure this fucking loser? You want this piece of shit on your show? And she goes, yeah, I want that piece of shit. And I'm fucking instant nervous, scared. He's like, all right, you got it. And I got to do my first guest spot on the show. It was so much fun, so cool. Just like one of those big comedy moments. It's like such a small thing looking back on it now. I've done, probably 100 guest spots. I've done full weekends. I've done cool shows. I put my own shows on there now. But at that time, that was like this breakthrough moment that I got to have because this comic who I was a fan of for so long, and I thought I had weirded out by just, because also after the shows, this new comic, you're so excited, but you have questions. Like, it felt like I probably freaked her out. But she gave me a guest spot. It was super fun. Loved it. And that late show was one of the coolest experiences I've ever seen by a comic. It is a story. This will stand out in my mind for a long time. And I don't know if I'll be able to convey to you guys why it was so impactful to me. But like just the stagecraft that she showed on that late show was so impressive to me. Because it was Mike Dambra hosting. Von Dubcast alum. He has sat right here and done these podcasts with me. He's taken me on the road. I love Mike Dambra. He's my favorite person. He has helped me so much in comedy. Probably I can't imagine, like, strictly with comics, there's, people outside, non-comics who have helped me a lot in comedy. But as far as comics go, I don't know if anyone's done more for me in comedy than Mike Dambra. He's the best. And if you've seen Mike Dambra on stage, he does a very interesting thing where he is pretty mean. That's kind of his whole thing. He's going to be mean to people. He's the nicest guy off stage, but on the stage, that's kind of the character he plays. He's going to be mean to people. And he's been doing it all weekend. Awesome. He's one of the best hosts. He has been in the game for 40 years, headlining, doing shows all over the world. He is a master of what he does. And he was doing the show that night. And I believe it was a Garth Brooks concert or something. Some country concert was coming up. And people were excited. It was like a multi-day thing, so like people were performing. and there was a table of girls who had their, I'm just going to call it Garth Brooks. It might not have been Garth Brooks, but they had their Garth Brooks. Maybe it was Shania Twain. I think it was Shania Twain. And they had their Shania Twain shirts on and their cowboy hats, and they're all excited. They're sitting right up at the front. And Damber just found an easy mark to be mean, right? Like he's just, he's not truly being mean, but it's just comedically. The joke was, oh, look at you guys all in your matching shirts. What the fuck's going on? Oh, you're going to the concert? And they're like, yeah, we're going to the concert tomorrow. He's like, you guys are going. And that was like that was where he got his hook in was, you guys are going to the concert tomorrow, but you're wearing the outfits today. Like, you fucking nerds. And it was very funny. Like, it's a funny thing, especially with if you know Mike and you know what he can do on stage, it's a very, very funny bit that he could do. But you could tell that some people in the room, because that table was so delightful and nice, they were like these innocent, lots of women at the table and just bubbly and positive and like excited for the show, excited to see Jessimae. And he just shits on them the whole show, like just is giving it to them. And it's very funny, but you could tell some people in the room were pulling back from it, which happens. Like, if you're going to be the mean guy on stage, right? Like, certain swings are going to bring certain parts of the room along, right? And that's what makes Damber so special, is he adjusts and brings people along and will dip in and out and switch target. Like, I could go on for hours about it, the intricacies of what Mike Damber does on a stage. But on this night, there was people in the room that were pulling back a little bit towards the end, because like they had gotten such a beating and they were so happy to be there, and like they were being good sports about it. But I think some people in the room were just like, okay, stop picking on this table. And it was still good. It was a great show. Everything was going good. But I watched Jessimae like clock that in her own way before the show. She's like, oh, good job on the guest spot. Like, her middle's up. Like, she's getting ready to go up there, and I'm trying to stay out of the way. But I watched her go up and make them the start of the show. Like, I love that you guys are wearing these shirts. And she like takes the cowboy hat, puts the hat on, gets like, I think the sound guy to like play a Shania Twain song and like sing it with the audience, made it all about them. And they got to have like their redemption moment with the audience. And it was just like such a magical moment of comedy. It was a great show already, but the one little sticking point was, I think there were some people in the room that were feeling like this table was getting it a little bit too much, and the instinct to go and address that and to bring them into the fold and make them the star for the start of her set and dance around in the hat and make them feel a part of it was so cool to me. It was so genius to me. It like really stuck out. It has stuck out. It was like a very formative time in my comedy journey, we'll call it, that on top of being like a huge fan of her before this, but then my level of fandom just went through the roof. And I can't remember if it was this time or maybe another time she came back, but she also came through the Moon and smoked weed and did comedy at the Moon, where I got to watch her kill. I probably watched at least 5 shows of hers at the comic strip, full 45 minutes, if not more, of her doing her thing, and was super impressed. And then I got to watch her come to a weed room, get super stoned and fuck around and be so loose and be even like, what I saw at the strip was like, oh, comics, you can't crush harder than that. Like, people can crush this hard, few of them, but like you can't. It doesn't get much better than this. This is one of the hardest crushes you could have. And then to go to the Moon and like top that is like, oh, this is even better than what I just saw all weekend. So she existed in this place in my head where it's kind of hallowed ground of just, I'm so impressed and blown away by your comedic abilities and how funny you are that I almost can't be normal around you. And she was coming back. She was here this weekend. She was at the strip, and I had tried to reach out to her after that, send messages, never really got read. You know how Instagram works, right? If someone's successful, they don't really see, like these messages. Like, obviously she wouldn't see it, but I had tried. But then she had, from coming through and doing the Moon before, she had interacted with them. And I know that Dave was really trying to get her to come back through. She had a great time before. She's a perfect fit for this space, smokes weed. Super cool to have her in the room. And I know that over the last couple of weeks, he had been reaching out and there had been discussions, but I didn't know where it was. And it got, I just figured, it wasn't happening, because we're always messaging people. If we have connections, we're trying to get people to come through the Moon. That's a big part of what we do here. And we've had very cool people like Jessimae come through quite regular. It's one of the added magical things about the Moon that really sets it apart from other places. And it was Friday. We did a show up, go up mic here at the Moon. It was a beautiful night. Dave hosted. I love watching Dave host. Again, I will get bogged down in this story even further than I already have if I keep taking all the pit stops I want to. But Friday night was like an awesome show. Dave hosted. It was nice to see. There's been so many new comics that have started stand-up in Edmonton. It's insane. So it was really nice for Trish to get some of the new comics inside of her space and see what they can do with this stage and this environment, which is very unique and very different than other stages. Very happy. And then at the end of the night, I was talking with Dave and he said, oh yeah. Oh, no. I did miss a piece. I knew Dave was talking to her, but I didn't know how it was going. I went to the strip before I came to the Moon and just touched base, with Jessimae and also another comic. Okay, I have to take this pit stop. I also got an opportunity that was super cool this week that I forgot to include in my very vast notes of things I wrote down, which is absolutely nothing. I've just been freestyling this whole time, so forgive myself for not remembering. But I got the opportunity to work with Mike Lynch, who is a comic out of Newfoundland who I think is insanely talented. For my money, I think he's one of the most talented comics in Canada. Go follow him. Hopefully get him on the podcast sometime. But he was doing a show. He was headlining on Wednesday, and someone dropped out, and I got the opportunity to come host for him. And I was very excited for that because I love working with people that I think are talented. Those opportunities don't come often, but you have to seize them for all they were. So I was very excited for it. I was really wanted to do a good job. You know, we go in on Wednesday and wasn't the most people. You know, it was a little bit lighter night at the comic strip, and sometimes that can be intimidating, but I've done it enough times. I've hosted the comic strip when it's, not sold out a billion times. I wanted to do a good job. I thought I did a pretty good job of hosting, and then he went on to fucking murder. Just absolutely killed it. 45 minutes of fire. That was so impressive to me. His joke writing, I was blown away. And I heard that he was middling that weekend for Jessimae. So I was like, oh, for sure. I was busy Thursday. I knew I had, my girlfriend was visiting, and we've been doing long distance, and it's been super fucking hard. And it's been honestly one of the hardest things I've ever dealt with in my life, and just navigating that. And then the time you have to spend together is so precious, and she's so busy and has all these things going on while she's here, and just trying to spend that time and get what you want out of it. And I'm such an emotional guy that doing long distance is tough to get the validation and the emotional connection that you crave so deeply just because of the distance, that when someone's here and you have that time, it puts such expectations on it, like, oh, this is the only time we have together. I want this really badly, but then there's lives and realities and work and things that you can't do. So I was navigating that, so I had limited time. But she was busy Friday night, so I was going to come to the Moon. And before that, I wanted to go see Jessimae, and I wanted to go see Mike Lynch. And touched base and, said hi to Jessimae and was like, oh, yeah, I know Dave's been talking to you about coming through the Moon. Like, we'd love to have you. Like, it was so fun to have you last time. Would really appreciate it if you came through. No pressure, obviously, but would really love to have you through. And she seemed super down. I was like, okay, this might actually happen. Like, wish we would have had this sewn up like 3 weeks ago. Should we could have planned it and stuff, because this is, Friday night at probably 6:30 that we're having this conversation, right? And she leaves Sunday morning very early. So limited time frame, but she seemed really down to do it. And, the show kicked off and I went over to the Moon. We had the awesome show. And then after the show, I was talking with Dave. I was like, man, she seemed really down to do this shit. And he's like, oh yeah, I think we just got to figure out like payment of like if it's worth her time and stuff. And I said, oh, well, if it's payment, like the Von Dubcast, the podcast, could sponsor some money to get her to come through. If that's like the sticking point, I'm such a fan of hers. It would be so cool to me to have her in this space that like we have built and we have created. I want her on that stage. That's worth it to me. So kicked in some money. We sent that out late in the night. She got a voice note very late into the night of two very stoned dudes pitching her to come through. And then, was very excited about this. Honestly, was up very late that night. I slept on that couch over there. That night at like 4 or 5 in the morning, just kind of going through like, fuck, okay. If she does say yes, how do we move the tickets? How do we pack it out? Like, what can we do? Kind of coming up with plans just in case we got a yes. And then in the morning, maybe around noon, heard back from Dave. Hey, I've made contact. Like, looks like it might happen. Like, be ready in case we do. So I did. And but I think it was 2 o'clock, 2:30 maybe, we got the yes, she's in, we're going to do a show. So then we had 9.5 hours to plan and execute a show, get people in the building. So it was like, shout out to Dave. He jumped into action, started making posters and stuff. I started messaging people, coming up with plans, called the comic strip, asked if I could go to the comic strip and do guest spots and promote after about the midnight show because they will have already sold their tickets. It's not going to affect them. Like, can we do a co-promote thing? Shout out to the comic strip for being super duper cool about it. Shout out to Tammy. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Dino. Shout out to the whole squad. They're the best. I love them. They were super cool about it. You know, a little bit of had to massage it, had to make it work. They ended up being cool with it. Kind of had to. It was a bit of a battle, but that it was important enough to me that I was willing to go through that effort and try. Got to do guest spots on both shows and talk to people after the show and bring people out. And between people coming from the strip, people we had messaged, Moon regulars that are always down to come for a cool show, we ended up getting probably 30, 40 people in the building on 10 hours notice to do this really cool show with one of my favorite comics. And that is just something that is what I've always dreamed of like working with those people, of like, I know everyone's been pressuring me, like, it's the money. For me, I know money is important and I've got to do that, but also just being able to share a space with people that you really respect and learn from and get to experience and be made to laugh and to try and make laugh these people that you hold to a very high esteem, that is very meaningful to me. And the whole thing was super duper cool. And I was very appreciative that we got to have that experience, make those memories. I got to give one more shout out to Dave here. He always says, you know, like, this place was built to make memories. That's what it's all about. You know, like, money is cool and we got to make money. We got to keep the lights on. But at the end of the day, the Moon is about making memories. And for him to jump all the way in, whereas, like, I know, you know, one of the tipping points was me throwing some cash towards it to make it work. So we didn't have to, oh, well, if we can sell this many tickets, then we can promise this to you and stuff like that. Is tough to negotiate, especially on a tight timeline where if someone can step in and just go, I will throw some money at it if that covers that. And that allowed us to just do a free show, allow people to come see it and be a part of that and make some memories. I think it was pretty cool. I think people had a really great time. But more than that, I got to have an amazing time. I was really, really proud of myself and proud of the Moon and everything we've kind of built towards, because this is something that we want to do often. We want to always have people when they're coming through town pop in and do a little show at the Moon and experience what it is that we do here. It's a very special place. And to be able to knock one of those things, like, that's like a bucket list thing for me, is to get to, you know, do a show with Jessimae Peluso. That was super cool. And Mike Lynch, that's the thing. That's why I brought it up. Jessimae honestly harassed Mike into it. He didn't want to come, but she put the screws to him, and I think he had a great time. I think he really enjoyed it and ended up happy that he came and was a part of it. But he came on, jumped on, did some time, and he's, you know, for real, one of the best comedians in Canada for sure, if not on this goddamn planet. He is so spectacular. Could do a full diatribe about him just like I did with Jessimae, and I you know, hope to get him on this podcast and be able to pick his brain like that. And it was super cool. And yeah, reinvigorating in the same way I talked about Trish taking the podcast and putting all this editing behind it, making it look pretty and being able to get it up on YouTube with the Sterling episode. That is a very reinvigorating thing for myself to want to sit down and make more podcasts, to sit down like this, just record them myself or find more guests and do all that. A show like I got to do with Jessimae was also just inspiring to show of like, man, we pulled off something pretty cool and made some really cool memories on like 10.5 hours notice. What can we do with, like, if we get a yes earlier, what now can we do? And we have these shows coming up, specifically June 26th, the Trish's Asylum, which is our tentpole, our favorite show, the show that me and Trish run. We have some really exciting plans for it. We've already moved some really good tickets for it. We have an unbelievable lineup. Things like that of just like, man, we've got to go all in. We have to really give everything we've got, every ounce of ourselves that we can put into this. This is important, and this is going to grow this thing to be even better on the next one and the next one. It's not just the 26th, then also the 28th. We have our 300th Sunday Smoke Show, started many years ago by Sterling. It was Sterling's house party years and years ago, but we have never missed a Sunday, even when we moved venues. We built a venue in a week so we wouldn't have to miss a Sunday, and it's going to be the 300th one, and it's so cool that it's happening. We're doing a really big blowout Asylum on the Friday, and then our huge 300th Sunday show on the Sunday. Couldn't get any better. Would really appreciate it if people came out and supported that. We already have some really good tickets moved, and we have some plans to figure out a way to get even more on top of that, and that's super exciting. Can't wait for it. But there's just so many cool things to do here. There's so many more things I haven't talked about on this podcast, but I can hear more people arriving here. I feel like I should get out there and go help. And we did a nice little hour 5, nice little tight one for all the people saying, the podcast too long. I could fucking sit here for hours. If I didn't have to go do other shit, I would be here forever and ever and ever. I love this shit. It's so much fun to do. I appreciate getting to do this, and I appreciate each one of you listening. If you're listening to this, you cannot understand what it means to me. If I'm chasing this crazy dream, I have a lot of voices around me that it feels at times do not believe in what I'm doing, and to have you support it, those people that reach out and say, hey, I listened to the podcast, I really liked it, or this or that, or hey, like I heard you talk about it, you said something nice about me on the podcast, I appreciate it, and I forgot I even said it, right? Like those things are really cool, and I'm really grateful and appreciative of this life I get to live. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it makes me happy. It brings me joy, and there's nothing I love more than sitting down, recording a podcast like this, having a good friend on, or someone I really look up to, and get to ask them all those nerdy questions. It's a very special thing that I need to hold on to that gratefulness for, and not get drawn into the ugliness, because I have a penchant for it. There's things, I kind of kept it light and breezy today, but there is things that I'm sure if I can keep sitting myself down here and just having fun and being a little silly and talking about the things, I'll be able to bring those things to bear and grow from them and speak them out. I think there's power to talking through things, and it can really help you heal and move forward. So I appreciate you guys for putting up with my stupid ass, coming out to the shows, supporting a place like the Moon, supporting me. It means the world to me, and I want to honor that. There's something I heard the other day about motivational systems, about how there's two sides to, you can lean into the people that don't believe in you and want to prove them wrong, and that can be a source of motivation and fire that you can burn. But there's a healthier one of like the people that do believe in you, of proving them right. And I think that has really stuck with me, and I feel like I've been trying to hold on to that, because I have operated off of like, there's been so much nasty shit and ugly people around stand-up in this whole journey, and they have all kinds of things to say. And there is something that can run of just, I'll fucking show you. But I don't think that's sustainable, and more so where I'm trying to keep myself is the people like Trish, who have always believed in me, have always been there for me, have taken time out of their lives to support my journey. And, it's not I think I do that for her as well. I'm sure she would say the same thing. But those are the people I want to prove them right, that this is worth it. This has always been worth it, and it's going to go somewhere really special. And just those little moments, like getting open for Mike, or getting to have Jessimae, Peluso come through and do shows here, it really highlights that, and it reminds you that it is worth it. And the workshop last night, these are all things that just really drive home and make you realize that this is all worth it, and you are on a good path. And people might have something to say about it, and you might have to really grind and make some things work, and it's not going to be easy, but it's worth it at the end of the day. And I'm very grateful that I get to do it, and that I have amazing people in my life that love me and support me, and amazing community like I have here at the Moon, which is about to put on an amazing show. Sinner fucking G. It's going to be great. Silly Guy Club coming up, I think tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to release this. Might release it tonight. Honestly, it's super fucking late. Might have to get to shows or help with this. I don't know what I got to get on. This has been priority, was just to get a little potty waddy recorded, and then jump to whatever next task I need to do. I'm going on the road tomorrow Thursday, back Friday, then back on the road Saturday, Sunday. Very excited. Get to work with a guy named Braden Lynch. We're going to try and rip a podcast on, I think, the Sunday we have a free day. So we're going to try and rip a pod. That's awesome. Met him out in Toronto. Great guy. Going to have some fun with that. And then back, and it's going to be grinding for the Asylum on the 26th and the 300 Smoke Show on the 28th. That's the next big tings, and cannot wait to share those memories with you guys. We're going to do another workshop, I think, on Tuesday because this one was so awesome. Just reminded us, holy fuck, why have we not done this? This is important. We need to be doing this. This is good for our souls, if not good for people's comedy. You know, people can make their own judgments about whether it's worth it or not for them. But to me and Trish, I think it's pretty damn worth it. And I think yesterday really showed that. And I'm happy that we did it. And I'm happy that I sat down and did this podcast. It's been very enjoyable. I've had a lot of fun. And I really have to pee. So we're going to cut her here. I got to remember how to shut all this shit down and make sure I don't delete shit. Very scary moment when you don't have a producer. But we'll figure it out. And we'll be back with more of these podcasts. I love you guys so much. You are the best. Couldn't do it without you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.